Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Hope everyone is doing well. We got some new information coming in for y'all. Hope everyone is doing all right here. What is today? Today is Monday. That's right. Hope everyone's doing well. Good to see y'all. Gonna wait a minute for everybody to come in here. Kind of got rid of my intro sequence because I figured it's just kind of a waste of time, honestly. But what's up, everybody? What's up, Awaken? What's up, Brian? Good to see you, my friend. Why is... Hold on a minute. We are having... I'm gonna have to bring up my chat on another page here. Hold on a minute, y'all. Because for some reason, the streaming software I'm using is being a little weird. Has a little thing. But what's up, everybody? Good to see ya. So we got new information. We now have a tropical storm. We now have Erin. It is a tropical storm here. It is actually in the forecast to become not only a hurricane, but also a major hurricane. Let me bring up my old chat here, and then we'll get right on into it. Here we go. Good to see y'all. What's up, Ghosted? Saying good morning, Andrew. Good morning to ya. It's good to see ya. What's up, Cassandra? Welcome, welcome. What's up, Wendy? Good morning to ya. Sean says she's here. Yeah, Erin's here. Yep, so we now got a tropical storm here. Let's actually bring up the Hurricane Center's little thing here, the page here. So there's actually a new area, too, that we're watching up in the North Atlantic here. You can see just off of Nova Scotia here. We got a 10-10 shot, potential development here. I'm not really expecting much out of it, to be honest with you. We do have this guy over here, Disturbance 2, still a 10-10. These guys, not really a concern. But all eyes right now are on Erin. Erin is now a tropical storm, clocking in at 45 mile per hour sustained winds here. Central low down to 1,004 millibars, moving to the west at a whopping 20 miles per hour. It's moving pretty quickly. So this system is something that we are going to definitely need to look into. Hurricane Center's, graphics and stuff are not fully available yet, but we do got the track right here. And towards the end of the track, they do have a Cat 3. It is expected to go north of the Antilles here. Now, we're going to get to models here in a little bit. We're going to talk about, the different possible scenarios and stuff here. We're going to get more into that here in a minute. But I just wanted to talk about the track here. So, like I mentioned, right now, it is just to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands here. Once again, it is now officially a tropical storm here as of this morning. So over the next few days, over the next little bit, it's just going to continue to be a tropical storm. We're going to have to monitor it for, potential quick development here. What's up, MD? What's up, Wasta Yet Today? What's up, Renita? What's up, Polly? Good to see you guys. But yeah, so it is going to remain a tropical storm for at least a few days here as it works its way over here to the west. But right as we approach... whenever we can get the timing involved for this. But over the next few days, it is expected to strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane as it gradually works its way here to the west here. And, as you can see, we are expecting some pretty quick development here. Towards the end of the cone, the last little marker here, we do have a Category 3, which does mark it being a major hurricane. So not only, like I said, is this going to be our first hurricane of the season in the Atlantic, but this is also going to be the first possible major hurricane that we have here. I mean, it's already in the forecast. First cone is out. Hurricane Center, they already have, Cat 3 at the end of the forecast here, you can see. So towards the end of the forecast here, they have it at 115 sustained, gusting to near 140 or whatnot. So we're going to have to definitely be monitoring the storm here. That's the main concern. Now, let's go and take a peek at those models here. I'm sure y'all are probably wondering what's going on here. So let me go ahead and bring up some of these models. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and show y'all the spaghetti models. You know what? They're actually in pretty good agreement here. Let me bring up my little pin here real quickly. Are we having some connection issues? I hope not. Hopefully my internet doesn't dial me again here. Let me bring up my pen so I can actually write on the screen for you guys. But yeah, I mean, the spaghetti models, they're pretty tight right now, as you can see. There is definitely a lot of agreement here in terms of the track of the system. You can see, this is kind of the location where it's at now. There's one of the islands off to Cabo Verde. So as we work our way over here to the west, you can see that the grouping is pretty close together. These are pretty close together here, indicating that there is definitely some, that there definitely is some agreement here in the track as we work our way over here to the west. And, this goes out quite a bit. And then towards the end of the models, you can kind of start to see maybe a little bit of a northerly push. That's still not certain at this point. I mean, I know a lot of models are kind of projecting that being possible. But it's still a little bit too early to be for sure what it's going to do basically once it passes the Antilles. Anything beyond the Antilles is just pretty much unknown at this point. Really, the main thing is right now is just this system is going to be working its way here to the west, out there by the Antilles, just to the north of the Antilles here, which will definitely, remain away from those areas here. It should just be to the north here. Let's see here. See, it's not coming to Florida. I say Georgia. It's, Andrew, it's way too early to tell, man. We don't even know if this thing's even going to impact the U.S. East Coast or not. There is a good chance that the storm even still could just be a fish storm for the most part. I mean, we do need the East Coast to monitor this storm. It wouldn't hurt to keep an eye on it, but there's no reason to freak out about it or panic over it or anything like that. So between that, just don't worry about it. We'll keep an eye on it, and like I said, if it does become an issue for the East Coast, we'll let you know. Also, Bermuda should probably keep an eye out there for the storm here too, which we're going to look more into the individual models here in a moment here. Sean says, how strong will it get? Well, I think it has good potential. A lot of the models actually had this thing getting, well up into major hurricane status, and, like I said, we have our first cone here too from the Hurricane Center that just came through. Like I said, towards the end of the forecast track, Hurricane Center has a Cat 3. So we are definitely talking a pretty decent potential. Like I said, not only the first hurricane, but also the first major hurricane potentially. So starting off pretty strong here with the first hurricane. Let's see here. Doing chemo, Andrew. Should I leave Florida's East Coast? No, like I mentioned, Florida's not really not a concern right now. Like I mentioned, the East Coast should not be panicking at all. Because like I said, there is a good chance that this thing could just remain out to sea. It could, kind of squeeze between Bermuda or the States. We cannot rule out a potential landfall in the East Coast right now. It's just simply too early to tell. Same thing, once again, there's a possibility of a few scenarios. It could go out to sea. It could get a little close to the coast. We don't know. Like I said, anything beyond the Antilles here at the end of the forecast cone is all just a big question mark. Now, there has been a lot of guidance in the models kind of talking that, the system, could start to pull to the north here, in which we just looked at the spaghetti models. I'll go and bring those up again for you guys. Towards the end of the spaghetti models, you can see that there's a handful of models that continue, or kind of start to show the system kind of tracking its way to the north here a little bit. But anyways, Daily, wish the best of luck to you, my friend. It's good to see you. See, that's true to a fish storm. Yeah, it's, once again, it's possible. It's possible. There's two different scenarios right now. It could get close to the coast, or it could just remain out to sea. It's just simply a little too early. Let's go ahead and look at some of those individual model runs here. I want to go ahead and show you all that. So let's hop over here. We're going to first pop up the GFS. We have the 06 UTC run here from earlier this morning. So let's bring up the North Atlantic here. Okay, so there's that system here. This is just west of the Cabo Verde now. So GFS has gradual development. Like I mentioned, we're probably just going to be a tropical storm for the next little bit. Probably not going to do anything super crazy over the next little bit. Just slow, gradual development here over the next few days. And kind of on the forecast track, once we kind of approach right around the 14th or so, that's when it could really start to pick up in some strength here. GFS continues to have this thing going to the west, and we're approaching that 150-hour mark, which I don't like to look much further after that. A lot of people love to go really far down in the model to look at things, to kind of hype things up, but it's just, anything beyond 150 is just kind of a little too far out right now. There is a lot of uncertainty here, but the GFS does have it kind of pulling to the north, because we do have that Bermuda high over the central Atlantic here. And, according to, it just depends on how strong that high is. It also depends on how broad it is too, how large it is, and central position. There's a lot of factors that can really contribute to the steering of the storm system here. So there's certainly a lot of unknown factors here. But like I mentioned, anything too far out just a little hard to tell. Like I mentioned, it could get close to the U.S. East Coast. It could not. It could come towards Bermuda. Like I said, anything at this point was just a little bit too far out. But I will tell you the GFS does have this thing kind of steering its way to the north once we get past the Antilles here. Then we pull up the ECMWF here. This is the Euro. Euro model, the 06 UTC kind of goes to the maximum limit that I'd look at. But yeah, kind of the same thing here, gradual strengthening over the next little bit here as it works its way to the west and, eventually probably coming into a hurricane. The Euro actually is a little bit less aggressive than the GFS overall. And actually the main forecast from the Hurricane Center does actually have... Why is my little icon in the top left? You'll see that. It's kind of messing up there. That's weird. I don't know why. We got the Henrietta. I think it's how you pronounce it. It's working fine. Anyways, hopefully, I don't know if it's updated yet. We might see... Oh, there it is. There it is. Tropical Storm Erin. Pressure 1,004 millibars, 45, moving west at 20. Yeah, it's a little system I kind of made, which is very, very useful. So that top left thing you guys see, that'll show you guys like the latest information with everything that's going on here. But anyways, yeah, like I said, Euro's just a little less aggressive. Definitely not as aggressive here. Let's see here. Chris coming in with a $10 super chat, man. Thank you so much, dude. That's really sweet of you, man. Thank you, Chris. Big shout out goes to you. Y'all in chat, please give Chris a big thank you for the support. Chris, people like you really do help keep us running. I really appreciate it. Chris, you are awesome, dude. Thank you for that. Let's see. Isn't there going to be two high pressures, one in the Gulf, one in the Atlantic, that are strong? Well, I mean, I know that we have the Bermuda High. Yeah, we do have the Bermuda High. That's what's kind of keeping it down. The Bermuda High out here is preventing the storm from kind of going up towards the central Atlantic. So that's kind of pushing it down a little bit. But also, as the Bermuda High could shift eastward, it could also kind of steer it to the north, because these high pressure systems, they rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere. So it's just kind of, pulling it up here. So, we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. Like I said, beyond this point, it's just a little too hard to tell. I mean, we'll just have to look and see. But yeah, according to, the Gulf and stuff like that, I don't see any, extreme high pressure. It looks like some of those ISO bars are right around 1,014 or so, which is, not anything super high. But anyways. No problem, Daily. Got you, my friend. Here for you. Let's see. I know it's too early, but where is she going? Hold on. Let me read that again. I know it's too early to know where she's going, but should Florida keep a watch on it? It wouldn't hurt for my Florida friends to keep an eye on the storm, but definitely don't worry about it, because there is a good chance that we could still not get impacted at all from the system here. Honestly, I'd just say the whole East Coast should monitor it, just to keep an eye on it, no panic. There's no need to do your emergency shopping or anything like that right now. No, it's just too far out. I'd keep an eye out for Bermuda. I'd keep an eye out there for the U.S. East Coast. But, to make any rational decisions right now, it's just too early. It's just too early. Let's see. What's up, Ponderosa? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. All right, so let's hop over to Icon here. We have a new run coming through. Nice. Let's go to the 06, though. So, Icon shows a westerly movement. Not a whole lot of strengthening, though. Not a whole lot of strengthening from the Icon model. Also, the Icon kind of shows maybe another little disturbance following behind this guy. Kind of an interesting take here. Then lastly, we have CMC. Yeah, CMC kind of has that northerly push, too, which, at this point in time seems quite possible. For the system to work its way to the north. The reason is because of this high. So you see how we have this big high pressure in the central Atlantic. This is the Bermuda High. And basically it's positioned right over the central North Atlantic, which is... Here, let me grab my pen again so I can show you guys this. So basically, this thing is rotating clockwise. This is just a big high-pressure system rotating clockwise. It's kind of pushing the storm down. And once this high moves eastward, it'll kind of get caught up on the left-hand side and pull it up to the north. That's kind of what a lot of us are thinking it's probably going to do. So, it's a real good possibility that it could. It's just still early talk. Still is early talk here. Let's go ahead and hop our way back over here to the main screen here. So, like I mentioned, we have a new cone out here from the Hurricane Center here. This is our first advisory issued on the system here. Once again, it is a tropical storm at this point here. Once again, right now we're kind of clocking in at 45 mile per hour sustained winds, moving to the west here at 20 miles an hour, and the pressure is down to 1,004. Let's see here. What is pushing her away from the coast? It's just kind of getting caught up in the Bermuda High, as we were talking about. Once again, with that high pressure that's in the central Atlantic, it's kind of keeping the system down. And as that high, works its way further east, which it does have it in the forecast, it just kind of, gets caught up because high pressure systems, they rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere. So it's kind of a conveyor belt, just kind of moving it along. But I mean, like I said, it just depends on the high itself. I mean, it could be it could be a weaker high. It could be a lot bigger. It could be, a little bit more offset or whatever. There is definitely a lot of things that is, still unknown. Still is unknown right now. Let's see here. Curious, what does the AI version say? I believe we have an AI version now too. A lot of people like those AI models. I'm not the biggest fan of them, to be honest with you, but I will pull them up because, obviously it's good to look at more models. The more models, the merrier, just to kind of get the better opinion or kind of get the opinion across the different types of models here. But yeah, let's bring y'all back over here. We'll hop you guys over here. So there's the GFS. We'll bring up the ECMWF, the AIFS model here, which this kind of has it a little bit further south as some of the other models do. But at this point in time, like I mentioned, once again, above forecast hour 150, we're kind of pushing it. Don't want to look any further than this because essentially it just becomes more. It just basically becomes more uncertain overall. Let's see, my face cam went out. Yeah, it's a scene that I have. You can see, I can turn it on and off. It's toggleable. Sometimes you'll see me just switch over to that by accident. Let's see here. Daily says hit the like, it's free, subscribe, hit the bell, notifications for updates. Thank you, I appreciate that, Daily. Appreciate it. But yeah, let's see if the Hurricane Center has anything up yet on their site. Obviously, they're starting to push those graphics out. Oh, here we go. There it is. So that's basically what we just looked at. So it looks like by the time we approach 11 a.m. on Saturday, that's when it could be a major hurricane out there, just north of the Antilles. Looks like it's going to remain a tropical storm until the morning of Wednesday. So we'll have to definitely keep an eye out there for that. But let's see. Where's our wind speed probabilities? Yeah, so, regardless of, obviously the system is probably going to be passing just north of the Antilles here. Regardless, it's probably going to create some pretty rough waters out here. So that's another thing that, everybody's got to watch out there for is going to be those rough waters and stuff. We'll definitely just have to monitor that. But yeah, according to the Hurricane Center here, it looks like they have the system becoming a hurricane here for kind of the later portion of Wednesday, it looks like. So between now and Wednesday, it's probably just going to be a tropical storm. We're just going to have to monitor it here. Let's bring up the SAT. I want to show you all the satellite view. We're going to show you all what's going on here. I'm just going to bring it over here. Why not? We do have a hurricane in the EPAC too, Henriette, but not a problem. Here's Erin. You know what? I'll tell you this. What's been going on with Erin lately has actually been pretty impressive. We do have some pretty good centralized convection here. I think a lot of the tiles are missing here, is why I don't want to move it too much. But yeah, no, it's definitely looking pretty good. It just passed over the Cabo Verde Islands here a little bit ago, as the system did work its way to the west. But convection's definitely looking pretty good on the system. It's starting to look pretty healthy. It really is. But like I said, we're just gonna have to just monitor its progression and just kind of see how it reacts. We're gonna do another update live tonight. That way I can help keep you guys updated with everything. But yeah, so GFS though, and like I said, a lot of other models, they really don't have this thing really picking up strength until pretty much right around Wednesday. Right around Wednesday is whenever we start to see a lot of that activity starting to pop through. But like I mentioned, it's just too far to tell. In the forecast track, y'all. Like I said, the system, it's expected to go north of the Antilles here. So at this point in time, it's safe to say that this system is probably not going to go in the Caribbean. There's not any model support that really shows that, so the system will just remain to the north. But nobody should be worrying right now. That's the main thing. Nobody should be panicking. Nobody should be panic shopping or anything like that. It's just too early to tell. I would say the East Coast should monitor it, of course. As with any other system this far out, should just monitor it. I mean, also Bermuda, I'd keep an eye out there for too. Overall, I mean, regardless, depending on how close this thing does get to the U.S. East Coast, it could bring some pretty big waves. I mean, that is a very common thing with these tropical cyclones, is that they do like to stir up the waters quite a bit. So, let's see here. Will the hurricane hit Florida like Helene and Milton? No. Helene and Milton were on the left side, on the Gulf side of Florida. But this is not a problem right now for Florida. Not an issue. What time tonight? I don't know. Probably right around 8, maybe 9 o'clock or so. I'm not going to commit to any time. It just depends on when I'm available, because sometimes I need to plan things out before I go, and sometimes things can change. I'll just say anywhere from probably 8 to 10 o'clock. We'll go live right around sometime then. But anyways, let's hop back over here to the spaghetti models here. Actually, another thing I want to show you all real quickly is the... here, let's bring y'all over here real quick. Actually, you know what? We're just going to stay on here. Here's the spaghetti models here from the main hurricane models here. You can see this is the intensity guidance. You can see obviously gradual development here over the next little bit. What's up, Cheryl? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, it'll probably be between anywhere from 8 to probably 10 o'clock or so. But there is a handful of models that, like I said, that does have the system, becoming into major hurricane status. A lot of the models keep this thing into, most of the models do obviously have this thing becoming a hurricane at some point. Which, once again, hopping back over here to the Hurricane Center's guidance, that'll be on Wednesday. So that is what we need to look out there for. Or that's when we need to look out for the transition. Will probably be between kind of the afternoon of Wednesday or so. But anyways, I mean, like I said, that's really about it right now. Like I said, we'll go over everything again for you guys, obviously. But, for the people just joining. But not much can be said after it passes the Antilles. I mean, there is a lot of guidance, like I've mentioned, that does show the system, steering its way up here to the north. I mean, it could get close to the coast. It could impact the coast for all we know. But, it's just too early to tell. It is way too far out to tell, y'all. So don't worry. I know a lot of you guys have been watching this, and y'all are, a little nervous about this storm. Just don't worry about it. The best that you guys can do right now is just monitor it. Just keep an eye on the storm. It could be something we need to look out there for down in time, but there's no reason for panic. But yeah, along the the U.S. East Coast, it would not hurt for everybody just to keep monitoring the storm here. Also, like I said, Bermuda should keep an eye on it too. With that Bermuda high we talked about kind of squeezing its way to the east here, potentially, according to some of these models, that could allow for the storm to kind of take a little bit more of a northerly, kind of northwesterly track out to sea. Because once again, these high pressure systems, they do spin clockwise in the northern hemisphere. And so with that with that clockwise circulation, It's going to kind of drag that storm. Right now that high that we currently have in place is kind of keeping. Here, we'll go ahead and go to current time here. So we're kind of right around roughly in here. But yeah, you can see that we have this high out here, and this is just kind of keeping that storm relatively low. So now we're just going to see that westerly movement for the next little bit. And then, like I said, with that high pushing eastward, that could open some doors for the storm to kind of track further to the northwest here. So, we'll just have to monitor. So one thing I want you guys to be aware about as well, please be aware for false forecasts. There's been a lot of people going around posting misinformation and, model runs without any context. So please don't trust those. I guarantee you guys, I swear I will always give you guys the honest and up-to-date information here when it comes to the tropics. I want you guys to be safe, and I want to help keep you guys weather aware. So I will be here for you guys, and I'll tell you all what's the truth. And like I said, right now, anything past 150 hours we cannot look at. It's just simply a little too far. Yes, there has been some guidance showing maybe a little bit of a northerly pull, which, there has been a handful of models to support that, I will say. And it does seem like a possible scenario. But, anything further than that, it's just too hard to tell. Let's actually go ahead and hop y'all over here to the spaghetti models and stuff. So once again, this is the current set of runs from the spaghetti models. Current storm's position here. Let me bring this up. So here is where it's at right now. This is it where it's, this is currently where it's at now. So, yeah, so the 24 you see here, this is the next 24 hours, 48 next 48 hours, 72 hours, 3 days. So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days out. So, we go down the chain here. So, a bit of geography. This is the Antilles here. Here's Puerto Rico, and then here's the northern side of South America. So you can kind of see where we are in relation to the storm here. But yeah, so there is some pretty good news. And the good news is that there's a bit of agreement here. There's been a lot of consistency, and you can see how kind of crammed together these models are. In terms of the track and stuff. So that is that's definitely good. That is a sign of some agreement. But yeah, so basically, just over the next little bit, we're going to continue watching the storm move to the west. In the far extended range, it does show a bit of a northerly push, but that's just we'll just see what happens. Anything's still on the table here. Let's see here. I'm over the fear-mongering other people. It's so bad. It really is, especially on Twitter. It's just terrible. There's people that's been posting just individual model runs. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you now. Y'all, what I'm about to show you is not a forecast, and this is not going to happen, okay? More than likely is not going to happen. But let me go far down in GFS and show you what these people are doing. So they like to go way far down in time. They scope out models, too. You can see GFS does not show really any major impact to the U.S. We can't guarantee that right now. Yes, the model doesn't show it, but this is one model run. We'll even show you guys a different model. Here's a CMC. CMC has it getting a little closer. And so these people are just saying, hey, look at this in particular model. They just don't say anything. They just post this. And it generates, fear-mongering and all kinds of stuff out there. It's terrible. So just please be careful what you guys are looking at. But like I said, I'll make sure to keep you guys weather aware. We'll make sure to keep you guys up to date with everything. There's a lot of misinformation going on out there, and it's scaring people, and it's sad. It really is. Let's see. Is it an issue for Georgia? Renita, it's too early to tell. It's too early to tell. Like I mentioned, the farthest we can look right now is basically up to the point here of the Antilles. Anything past the Antilles is something I would not really trust. About 150 hours out, like I've mentioned before, is probably the best. Is probably the best that we can look at. Yes, it has been a bit of support of it kind of pulling to the north here. In the far extended range, but realistically, we can only look at the track up until the Antilles because there is still a lot of uncertainty here. Let's see, it's all over TikTok. Yeah, don't trust it on TikTok. It's bad. I'm just gonna say it. Just don't don't trust anything that you see like that on TikTok. If you guys want reliable information, I'm here to give it to you. And like I said, right now, nobody should be worrying, okay? Seriously. There is no immediate threats for any impact hurricane related for the U.S. at all right now, okay? I want you all to know that currently no impacts expected currently for the United States. Now, should we monitor the storm on the East Coast? Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to keep an eye on it, but we shouldn't just, like, start worried about things. You know, there's a lot of people posting models of it hitting the U.S., and it's going viral and stuff, and just please don't trust it. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't blame you, Cheryl. I don't go in there either, honestly. Yeah, no problem. While still yet today, gotcha. What's up, Justin? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Here, let's look at some of these hurricane models. We'll actually pull up the. Oh, you know what? They don't have the latest run. Here, let's do. Yeah, we're gonna have to get back to you guys on that. So since the name of the storm just changed, the latest run has been archived, and we don't have it available right now. So basically, it was 97L. That was the previous name of the system, and now it's Erin. That's the new name. But yeah, here's some of the extended range ensembles here. I mean, just one thing I'll show you is look at the big spread here, right? You see how much everything spreads out. You know, once we get far down in time. Once again, the storm's right here. It's got a long way to go. And that's why I said it's just kind of hard to tell. And the cutoff point should be right at the Antilles at this current moment. I would not look anything further than this right now. There is a handful of models that does have it, you know, kind of pulling a little bit to the north because of the easterly movement of the Bermuda High. And since the Bermuda High right now is over the central North Atlantic, it's kind of keeping it to the south here. Other storm systems. There was another storm that we were tracking not long ago. I think it was 96L. That one went up towards the central Atlantic because of the lack of high pressure. But now, since that's strengthened, that's going to help keep this storm further down. But some models, do support that high moving to the east, in which that could open up, the storm to move to the north. It's still just a scenario at this point. No way of being for sure quite yet. Let's see. You're pretty sure the storm's going to stay out to sea. It's a possible scenario, like I mentioned, but it's impossible to tell right now. It's impossible to tell. I mean, even with all the guidance we have, this is still like several days out. So a lot can change. A lot can definitely change between now and then. That is for sure. Once again, here's the intensity guidance for y'all, so you guys can see this. Let's see here. Definitely don't trust it. I left my fair share of comments on my opinion on those people. Good. It's good to expose them too, Like I had to make a video just the other day talking about, that one image that was going viral with those two hurricanes, It's ridiculous. People literally post that stuff without context just to wrap up the views and just to, get all the attention and stuff like that. And it scares people. It's terrible. It's terrible. These people, dude, it bothers me a lot. It really does. That these people can get away with this stuff, fear-mongering for clicks, and then they generate money and stuff off of it. It's ridiculous. It is sick. I'm sorry. It's just... That's a very heated topic for me. I can't believe people, and it just calls for crying wolf, Like, say they always make up this stuff and show a really bad model run, and then they're like, what if there is a storm that's a problem? Then nobody's gonna believe them. Anyways, enough of my rant. Sorry about that. But yeah, so here's the intensity guidance here, y'all. Like I mentioned, obviously, we do have gradual strengthening with the storm system. Yeah, I mean, we are not expecting any form of weakening to occur really anytime soon with this storm here. So that's that. but yeah, we once again, according to the Hurricane Center and stuff like that, we are expecting to become a hurricane probably on Wednesday. So between now and Wednesday, it's just likely going to remain a tropical storm. But yeah, looking at the models though, I mean, you can see that here's Category 3, Cat 4, Cat 5. There's not much model supporting Cat 4, Cat 5 right now. The good median point shows the majority of the models in the extended range, kind of right around Category 2-ish. Wouldn't be surprised, though, if it's a Cat 3. I mean, heck, like I mentioned, even the Hurricane Center right now does have the system here. Let me actually bring this up real fast for you guys. The Hurricane Center, they do have the system ultimately becoming a major hurricane at the end of the forecast cone, which I'll go ahead and bring up for you guys again. So here's Erin bringing up the main cone here. You guys can see. So there's the M. So that's the major hurricane. So in M, a major hurricane, quote unquote, classifies of a Category 3 or greater. And so in the forecast, as the storm here does work its way up here by the Antilles, and as it just works its way up here towards the north of the Antilles, that's where we could definitely see the system being quite strong. Quite a decent system. But that'll likely remain just north of the Antilles. The Antilles does not appear to be under any immediate threat, as the storm will just likely remain to the north of you guys. But also, one thing I will say, though, there will be some indirect impacts as well, because, with a big storm like this, it really gets those waves moving, gets those waters moving. So there certainly could be some coastal concerns for some of these areas out here in the Antilles, that we can't rule that out, but, direct landfall or anything like that is not expected to occur for the Antilles. So this system will just likely remain to the north here. Anyways, let's see. Justin says folks in the Gulf states can breathe a sigh of relief that they don't have to worry about Tropical Storm Erin hitting them anymore. Yeah, it's unlikely to go in the Gulf, but even then, I mean, it's a little far out. I think it's very unlikely at this point, but things can change. Things can change. That's what you got to learn about nature. I think it was Irma, Hurricane Irma. When we were forecasting Hurricane Irma, I think it was Irma. Now, I'm not saying that this is how it's going to play out, because obviously we don't know. But there was a lot of models for Irma showing it going into, well up into the, well out to sea and just, out there by the East Coast. But it actually continued going further west. Now, once again, I'm not saying this system will. There was a lot of different, things in place during that time as there is now. It's never, going to be a complete replica. But, that just goes to show you it's just a little early to tell. Let's see here. Eric says the twin Category 4s. Yeah, I know. That photo was going viral, dude. It was going viral. Everybody was starting to believe it too. It's ridiculous. Like, there was that photo. If you guys want to learn more about that, I made a video on it, so go check out my video from a few days ago. But yeah, no, there's this post that people kept on posting of a singular GFS model run showing a hurricane, in the Caribbean and in the Gulf, which is not going to happen, which was ridiculous. And it started going viral like wildfire. And it's ridiculous. It is. Anyways, let's see. So the wave behind Erin isn't supposed to do anything. So there has been a handful of models that picked up on maybe another... let's see here. Let me see if I can bring up this again. Maybe another... We're just going to load it again. Why not? But there has been a handful of models that shows maybe another wave potentially rolling off behind it. You can kind of see GFS maybe showing that little low there. Right around the 16th or whatnot. There's especially Icon, I think it was, that really picked up on that. Yeah, there you go. So as that system works its way to the west here, I think Icon is not doing very good. Icon barely has this thing getting into tropical storm. I mean, shoot. For example, right now, Icon kind of shows in the current state the system, in the upper 1,000 millibar zone. Right now, the central low is down to 1,004. It's already a lot lower than the models suggest. I think Icon is severely underdoing everything. But, there is maybe another area. But right now, it's not a big concern. I wouldn't worry about it. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Yep, no problem, Renita. Got you, my friend. Is there anything you guys want me to take a look at? Y'all, if you want to suggest anything for me to take a peek at, the models, whatever model, y'all, I'm more than happy to show you guys what's going on here. Here, let's take a peek at the satellite again real quickly. So here's the latest sat. Here we go. Got that nice and running here. But yeah, I mean, we've been getting some pretty good convection with this storm here. I mean, we do have some pretty good centralized convection already. Going on here. Here's the Cabo Verde Islands here. The storm is, working its way well to the west now of the Cabo Verde. Once again, it is a tropical storm now. It is a tropical storm. You can kind of see some of that circulation. If you look at those lower levels, you can see some of the lower levels going to the northeast. And then, of course, if you look at some of the upper levels here, or I should say above the storm, not upper levels, but you can just see that, that counterclockwise circulation there. That counterclockwise circulation. You can already start to see it venting clockwise too. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool how these systems work. But that's already showing us that the storm is organizing fairly well. With that outflow that we have, that upper level outflow. With all of that all of that clockwise movement, and in the lower atmosphere, the counterclockwise movement, it's doing pretty good. It's definitely picking up in strength here, and like I said, it's not very scattered either in convection. The storm activity within the system is very centralized at this point, so it's looking pretty good. It is looking pretty good. So that's current sat view. Let's see, is it Erin or Erin? It's Erin. It sounds the same. It's not Erin with an A. It's Erin with an E. So. Brady says, what's the high pressure doing currently? Well, we do have that Bermuda high that we have been looking at there. That's keeping the storm pretty low. So with the current position here of the Bermuda high, which is across a lot of the North Atlantic right now, and like I mentioned, the clockwise movement with the high, that's kind of keeping the storm pretty low. But like I mentioned here in the models, as we go down in time here, you can kind of see that high gets kind of crammed on the right-hand side of the Atlantic, the eastern Atlantic, the eastern North Atlantic. And, that kind of allows for, maybe a little bit of a northerly turn. Once again, still rotating clockwise here for that high. It could start to open the doors for it to go a little bit further north. That's kind of what we're watching right now and seeing what it does. But like I said, I mean, it depends on this high. If this high is further west than we expect, the storm itself would probably remain further south. Or if the high is stronger than what we expect, same thing. It could be a lot further south. There's so many factors. The size of the high, the position of the high, and the strength of the high. There's a lot of factors that are at play. And that's what's really crucial with observing the weather and, seeing what's actually going on. So that's what we just need to monitor, because obviously models, they're not perfect. They can't pick up on every little micro physics that's going on inside the environment, which, could ultimately change things, with time. The further you go out, the more that things become uncertain, So we'll just have to see. I mean, during the next 6 days or so, I mean, the storm is just going to be kind of approaching out there by the Caribbean. I mean, obviously it's, expected to remain just north of the Antilles and whatnot. Did I say 6 days? Let me pull back up the Hurricane Center. I need to make sure I am right on this real quickly. So they have, so Saturday. Okay. Yeah, I was making sure there. But yeah, so Saturday, that's kind of what we're expecting to possibly work our way into major hurricane status here just north of the Antilles. Once again, here's the official timing. You guys can see the S stands for tropical storm. I know it's not a T, but it's a tropical storm. The S here. The H stands for hurricane between categories 1 and 2, and then the M stands for major hurricane, which is category 3 or greater, which at the end of the forecast, on the morning of Saturday, currently the Hurricane Center does have this thing being a category 3 just north of the Antilles. Does not appear to be a direct threat for the Antilles. But we definitely could have some swelling of the waters, maybe some coastal flooding, some rough seas, some rip currents and stuff like that. So anyways, let's see here. Can we see the water temperatures? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, let me bring that up for you real quickly. So let's hop over here to analysis. We'll look at the whole North Atlantic to show you guys here. So the MDR is warmed up a bit. The reason that we're probably not going to see some rapid strengthening with Erin anytime soon is because the storm is kind of over pretty cool waters right now. So here's the Cabo Verde. The Erin's right in here right now. So Erin's right here, basically. And the waters out here is about 24, 25, 26 degrees Celsius, which, if you know, tropical cyclone formation thrives when the sea surface temperatures are 26 degrees Celsius or greater. But as we work our way westward, you can see that it will eventually roll into more favorable waters. Eventually kind of going from 24, 25 to more 26, 27. And eventually, as it continues working further west into the Atlantic, it'll eventually reach into some very, very warm waters out there. So that's why a lot of the strengthening is probably going to occur once it's kind of in this body here. Because of those increased sea surface temperatures, will definitely give it the heat that the storm needs in order to, not only sustain itself but also strengthen. But yeah, right now the waters are pretty chilly over the storm right now. They're not anything I'm expecting this thing to blow up or anything like that anytime soon. That's why it's going to be kind of a slow start. But once it continues working westward into those warmer waters, then it will start to pick up. It doesn't appear that wind shear will be much of an issue either. Which would basically, if there was a lot of strong upper level winds, that would prevent the storm from, organizing as it should, which that does not seem to be a concern right now in terms of wind shear. So that'll keep the storm fairly stacked, fairly decently organized. Moisture levels doesn't seem to be much of an issue here. Let's hop back over to models here real quickly. We'll see what the models kind of suggest with moisture. But everything's in place. Like I said, some slow development to start because of those cooler sea surface temperatures. But as we gradually work westward, that's whenever things will start to heat up. I mean, literally, as it does roll into those warmer ocean waters. Absolutely. So, we'll definitely have to look. Let me look at the comments here. Let's see. Let me pull this up. Any storm in the Gulf could be a trouble for how. Well, right now there's no threat for the Gulf, but looking at the sea surface temperatures, yeah, the Gulf is on fire. It is hot. Yeah, those waters out there are a good 31 degrees Celsius, which that's like, I believe, right around 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Somebody do the conversion if you would, but if you want to do it, you can just look up Celsius to Fahrenheit and put in 31 Celsius. I think it's around like upper 80s, lower 90s. It's very warm out there. But this system, we don't think, I personally don't think it's going to go in the Gulf. But like I said, that's also really far down in time. It's just impossible to tell right now. It really is. Anything past the Antilles, I'm not fully sold on yet. System as it works its way over here to the west. Anything further than the Antilles, that's when we kind of really push into the extended range, and that's when things get a little bit iffy. But yeah, you could see though, in the track here, once again, here's the Cabo Verde. The system's right here, right about now, and we're expecting the storm to kind of gradually work its way over here to the west. You can see over the next few days, the system will be rolling into those warmer waters, 26 degrees Celsius, 27, 28, 29. It's gradually working its way into warmer waters, which would give it the heat that it needs, like I mentioned before. I do not know the record temps in the Gulf. There's a lot of walking and weather encyclopedias out there. A lot of people who could tell you anything about weather history. I'm not one of them. I've never been really good at remembering weather as I am forecasting current weather. I'm more of a current and future than a past kind of person with the weather. So you can look it up, though. I'm sure it's out there. What's up, Michael? Good to see ya. Let's see. Renita says, "I think I'm just gonna listen to you. I don't stress myself over this. I just need a couple of days ahead to know what I have to do." Yeah, Renita, there is absolutely no reason that you should worry. That goes for everybody right now. It's too early. None of you guys need to be worrying about this storm right now. Like I've mentioned, right now the only people who should, be a little concerned would be out there by the northern Antilles. I mean, we're not expecting a direct landfall out here. However, like I mentioned, there could be some indirect, indirect impacts and stuff like that. Some swells, some, what is it? Sorry, the tip of my tongue. Rip currents, absolutely. Stuff like that, So, but anything beyond this, yeah, the hurricane cone ends for a reason, y'all. It ends for a reason, and the reason is because the further you go out, the more uncertain things get. That's why whenever you see people posting pictures of, maybe a hurricane hitting somewhere in the East Coast, it's just well beyond, well beyond anything right now. So I need you guys to know that. But I'll make sure to keep you guys up to date. Like I said, you guys can trust me. I've been doing this for many, many, many years, and like I mentioned, there's a lot of fearmongers out there who are just trying to rack up attention, rack up everything. It's ridiculous. But if you want true, legitimate coverage and updates and stuff like that, consider subscribing, because I swear to you guys, I will never lie to y'all about the weather. It's ridiculous. It bothers me a lot when people fearmonger and stuff like that, and I'm definitely not one of them people. They give people like me a bad name, which that also bothers me. It's stupid. Anyways, but yeah, so that's that, y'all. I mean, like I mentioned, we're just gonna keep a close eye on it. Anything track wise after the Antilles is just too far out. Where the cone is now is where we should be looking. We shouldn't be looking any further out. I mean, like I've mentioned, though, yes, it wouldn't hurt for my folks along the East Coast to monitor it, as they should. Same thing for Bermuda. I wouldn't ignore it completely, but I wouldn't worry about it. There's no reason to go panic shopping or anything like that. Of course not. Now, like I say a possible scenario. Say the storm, as we do get closer, say it does become a concern for the U.S., then we will let you know. The good thing about tropical cyclones is that you have days to prepare for them, usually. I mean, usually we have the forecast pretty narrow by the time we hit like 3 days out, typically. We typically know where the storm's going to hit about 3 days out, typically, on average. And, of course, even then, it can still fluctuate a little bit. But, given the fact that we're like over a week out, 6 days from now, today's Monday, so going to Saturday here, on Saturday, the storm is going to be over by the Antilles. And it's still pretty far away from the U.S. and Bermuda at that time. It's getting closer, but that's just where everything really starts to flower out or spread out, essentially. Like, let me go ahead and show you all these ensembles here real quickly. So here's some of the ensembles from the GEFS model here. You can see that there's a huge spread. The spread on this is absolutely enormous. And you notice how, once we approach, the Antilles here, or just north of the Antilles, I should say, the spread is a lot thinner. Look at the spread towards the end of these models here. Yeah, you can see that there is an absolute large uncertainty with these ensembles, and just a lot of the way the models are right now. There's so much uncertainty here. And you notice how close they are together over the next few days. That's because it's easier to forecast in the next few days than it is, a week plus out. So, like I said, it's too early to make any decisions right now. Once again, what you guys need to do is just keep an eye on it. There's no reason to prep for it right now. It's good to be prepared for hurricane season in general, but for this in particular storm, you don't have to specialize any trips right now if you're in the East Coast or anything like that to get extra goods, which it's too early to tell. But like I mentioned, we'll keep you updated, and obviously if anything changes in the forecast, which eventually it will, we'll keep you guys updated. But yeah, we're gonna definitely go live again later on tonight, guys. We'll go live probably, like I said, anywhere from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. That would be 7 to 9 p.m. Central. So we'll go live sometime right and then. And I'll make sure to keep you guys updated with the weather. And by then, we'll have new cones out from the Hurricane Center. We'll have new model runs, both individual runs as well as spaghetti models and stuff like that. So we'll keep you guys up to date here. But once again, if you guys want to stay up to date with the tropics and really any form of weather across the U.S. and like I said, I cover the entire North Atlantic here. in terms of the tropics, and I cover the main 48 states here. For severe weather, winter weather, literally you name it. If you guys would be interested in staying up to date, consider subscribing. I'm not going to hold you to it, but if you'd like to, it could be really helpful one day. And like I said, y'all can trust me that I will make sure to give you guys the real information that you need. And like I mentioned, bottom verdict is, once again, anything past the Antilles, too early to tell. Yes, there is some models that has this thing potentially steering up north because of an easterly moving Bermuda high, which could kind of open the door for it to move a little bit north. But that seems like a new trend here, but we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. It's still a little early. You can see some of these ensembles still have it just continue going west, and some of them kind of have it really sharply curving. That is literally a visual representation of uncertainty right there that you're looking at. So, anyways, folks, well, I'm going to go and roll off here for now. That's a bit of an hour update here for y'all this morning, going into the afternoon. If you guys did enjoy it, leave a like, hit that subscribe button. It'd be greatly appreciated. If y'all have any final questions, I will be more than happy to answer. Like I said, if you have any final questions at all, with the system or anything like that, just let me know in the chat. I'll be more than happy to help. Michael says, I live in Denver. Should I be prepared for this hurricane? Bruh. No. You said just kidding. I know. Nah, man, you're good, obviously. You're well enough inland. Yeah, I mean, the areas that should monitor the storm, like I mentioned, is out there by in the Caribbean, Bermuda, the Atlantic, the east side, or the east coast, I should say, should just monitor it. So, anyways. Will, it's a little early to tell, but I'm sure at some point in this year that there will be some type of tropical system in the Gulf. I mean, it's very common. Obviously, right now, there's no threats of any tropical systems in the Gulf or anything like that. This is really the only big one that we got to monitor. No, it's not going to pull at Andrew, I don't think, either. I mean, yet again, though, it is a little early, but the extended guidance there is a bit of support with the northerly pull, but only time will tell, Only time will tell. It's a little early for the extended stuff, but we'll keep an eye on it. Let's see, I haven't had rain in Nova Scotia since June 10th. Oh, wow. Wow, that's been a while, huh? What was that, 2 months? Pretty much. Ponderosa says, I have a cruise at Port Canaveral in the Bahamas leaving Sunday. What's my thoughts through this rough seas? Oh. I got you. Well, if you're leaving Sunday, the hurricane cone ends on Saturday, and you said you're leaving the Bahamas? Port Canaveral, to the Bahamas. Okay, so, yeah. So you're going to be right in here. I mean, those waters could certainly get a little rough. It depends on how long your cruise is and, where you're going to be, specifically at. I would not be surprised if you run into a little bit of choppy waters because of the storm passing. A storm like this could really stir up the... Let's see here. Tromex says, I live in Vestal, New York. Should I be concerned? New York is really high up there, and the storm is still extremely far away. I wouldn't be worried about it or anything like that at all. The best thing you can do is just keep an eye on the weather. If things change, at some point they will, and we'll continue to monitor it. Right now, there's no immediate threat for you at all. The best thing for you to do is just keep an eye on the weather and just watch it over the next several days. Because, I mean, like I mentioned, this thing is pretty far out right now. And between now and Saturday, I mean, the storm goes from here to here, and there's still a lot of room there. So, way too far out. Way too far out. Alrighty. But, alright, everybody. Well, I appreciate y'all for joining. I'm probably going to roll off here for now. Like I mentioned, we'll be live again tonight, anywhere from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, so just stay tuned. Turn those notifications on if you all want to stay updated on the timing when we go live. I just appreciate y'all. Thank you for hanging out with us here. Leon says, I live in Savannah, Georgia. Gotcha. Yeah, so, right now, there is no concern for Georgia, but, just like I mentioned, along the U.S. East Coast, I would definitely just continue monitoring it. I mean, it could be a fish storm. It could impact the U.S. East Coast. Just too early to tell. And since we don't have that information right now, since it's way too early, there's no reason to worry about it. Yeah, I mean, right now, like I mentioned, this is really the reasonable track of it right now. Here's the main spaghetti models. You can see we have a little bit of a northerly push here on the spaghetti models once we pass the Antilles here. But until then, the next several days, it's just going to be rolling westward. We're going to learn a lot more the closer it does get. But anyways, well, once again, everybody, thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. It's greatly appreciated. Good to see y'all. Once again, by the way, Chris, once again, dude, if you're still here, thank you for the $10. I appreciate it, man. You know, like I said, that helps out a ton, helps keep me afloat, and I really appreciate it. It helps keep us running. You know, we couldn't do it without y'all, so thank you so much once again, Chris. Big shout out goes to you, man, for the support. You guys are awesome. Really, really appreciate it. But yeah, so like I said, we'll just keep you guys updated. We'll be back here later on tonight. Once again, if you're just tuning in, refresh or rewind the live stream, I should say, and you guys can watch all the new updates and stuff like that. So, but that's really about it. You know, that's really about all we can talk about right now. I mean, we talked about everything, strength, you know, track, models, and everything like that. It's about all we can tell. We'll have some more updates for you guys tonight on the system here. You know, as we'll have new runs, we'll have new forecasts and stuff like that available for y'all. Okay? All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Please don't worry about it, and be aware of fearmongers. Like I said, if you see any photo of any hurricane hitting the U.S. right now, it is not true. It is not true. Ignore it. Ignore it. I'd even recommend blocking if you could, because those people are no good. They just want to spread fear. They just want to gain clicks. That's all it is. Okay? So, once again, I'm going to say it again. There is no immediate threat for any hurricane or tropical activity for anywhere in the United States right now. So, we'll keep you guys updated. All right? All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see y'all later on. All right, everybody. See y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. Catch y'all later on.